Right, we are awaiting back pages, gents, to come through to us. So many late goals, so much incident, so many talking points in the night's Premier League football. But we're going to start off, where else but at Craven Cottage, Sam Dean. And my goodness, I mean, if you went to Craven Cottage, you know, hoping for a bit of value for money, I think you probably got it, no matter which side you supported. But what a comeback from Fulham. But in terms of the game itself, I mean, it really delivered on all fronts, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the advert for the Premier League. It's the competitive edge that Fulham have, and they're able to compete with a team like City with their own star players, with their own international footballers, bringing players like Kevin, who cost almost £40 million off the bench to change the game in the second half. That's what the Premier League's all about, really. And it's a great advert for the game. I love the fact that it's midweek under the floodlights too, and I'm sure that contributed to the atmosphere and to the occasion. And yes, it's a game that sort of throws up as many questions as it does answers regarding Man City and their title charge. For the second time in a few days, they've sort of shown real defensive vulnerability that's totally uncharacteristic for a Pep Guardiola side. And yet they've also demonstrated the attacking firepower they have, which means they are still such a threat in this title race. And I think it kind of underlined how City have changed, and I think how they're a bit more fun this year than they have been in previous seasons. And the way they're attacking, the way Phil Foden's playing again, Erling Haaland obviously keeps on scoring. But also there's this permanent sense of vulnerability. And it's remarkable to see a team like City, managed by Pep Guardiola, play with such kind of frailty and openness. And you look at the fact they've conceded 16 goals in 14 games this season. That's really out of sorts for them. So much has changed there. And you compare that to Arsenal, their main title challengers, and Arsenal conceded 7 goals in 13 games. So they're worlds apart when it comes to defensive vulnerability, and tonight showed that once again.
On that point, we'll talk about the individual performances, particularly Foden, Chukwueze, Fulham, and obviously Haaland reaching the milestone of 100 goals in the Premier League. But on the point that Sam was mentioning there, James, do you think that defensive vulnerability will ultimately end up costing Manchester City when it comes into a title battle?
Yeah, I mean, look, at 5-1, it looked like, this was a game that was going to exemplify why City could be the main challengers and may even go on and win it. And at 5-4, we're sitting here thinking this is actually an advert for why they won't win it. Because, we're so used to seeing City take the leading games and then keep the ball for an hour, and just the opponent doesn't get a sniff, and it's almost boring. And I mean that as a compliment to City, because they just have that kind of complete authority and control in possession. And it just looked, I don't know, I mean, in that second half, obviously they were missing Rodri. He took off Nico Gonzalez at, I think it was 5-2, and brought on John Stones. And then he had Nico O'Reilly playing in midfield at the end of the game. And O'Reilly's been a real find for City this season, fantastic at left back. But I think the fact that, you just would know Rodri would dictate the play, he would control the rhythm of the game, and he would just sort of suck the life out of it, really. When he's not there, as sort of encouraging as Nico Gonzalez has been in that position, they still don't really have anyone who can do what Rodri does for them so often. And I think the end of that game was just sort of showed how Guardiola was kind of still scrambling for an answer, really. And look, I mean, while they've got Erling Haaland, of course they've got a chance. And you are sort of, you're wondering whether Mikel Arteta and his players were turning the TV off at 5-1. And I hope somebody's told them to turn it back on and actually watch the last half an hour, because they'll have a lot of encouragement from that. Because Arsenal games aren't like that. They're not sort of, basketball. It's not as chaotic. I think Erling Haaland actually used that word chaos in his post-match interview. Arsenal games aren't really like that at the moment, and the fact that City's are just shows you how sort of far removed they are from that real command and control that they had when the Guardiola teams of his pomp.
Yeah, and listen, we say this, don't we, that you can have great goal scorers and great attacking players, but it's ultimately those teams that are defensively robust that can just have that across a campaign and end up winning titles. That you often see those teams that don't concede that many are the ones that end up in top spot.